The year is 1943. The war has reached a stage where it no longer resembles an organized series of operations, marked on headquarters maps with neat arrows and encirclements. It is now a vast, continuous mass of clashes, duels, night raids, city sieges, and short, furious battles that arise almost randomly on any road, in any grove, in any trench. In such a war, weapons cease to be mere supplies and become an extension of the soldier's personality, something on which every second of his life depends. On the front lines, no one thinks about forms, acceptance reports, or records. Regulations are written by far-sighted staff officers, but every soldier understands that what he carries on his belt or deep in his tunic pocket is his personal chance of survival in conditions where chance is more important than any training. This is why soldiers of the three largest armies of World War II, the Red Army, the Wehrmacht, and the United States, carried weapons that were not officially issued to them. They found these weapons in ruins, took them from the fallen, received them from comrades, exchanged them, hid them, and cherished them. They weren't listed in any records, but they became part of their internal inventory, a personal tool for survival. Each front had its own unique characteristics. In the East, combat was conducted at close range, in ruins, under constant fire, in conditions where encirclement and breakthroughs were repeated over and over again. Here, rifles were too long, grenades too unreliable, and official pistols were not readily available. In such battles, a captured weapon became not a secondary element, but a real part of the arsenal. The Germans faced a similar situation. Despite discipline and regulations, the Wehrmacht quickly realized that fighting against a gigantic army required flexibility. In close combat, German soldiers grabbed anything that offered an advantage. Short pistols, knives, pocket pistols, captured submachine guns, especially those with a high rate of fire. At the front, no one asked permission. Americans, especially in the Pacific, lived in a completely different reality. In dense jungles, amidst humidity, night attacks, and surprise raids, any compact weapon became more valuable than a long rifle. They carried personal revolvers, trophies, knives, hidden blades, enemy blades, and sometimes even old family guns. Unauthorized weapons aren't an incident, but a pattern. They reflect the psychology of war. A soldier is always looking for another chance, and he carries this chance quietly, sometimes secretly, but always close at hand. On the front lines of the Eastern Front, Red Army soldiers often encountered battles turning chaotic in mere minutes. Sieges, sudden breakthroughs, and attacks in narrow streets or potholed trenches left little room to maneuver, and every second could be decisive. At such distances, a long rifle was awkward to use, and short sidearms were often unavailable. This is why Soviet soldiers often adopted captured German pistols. They were compact, lightweight, comfortable to hold, had a smooth trigger pull, and were highly crafted. Soldiers valued them not as luxury items, but as a tool that could save them when the main barrel was shot down, lost, or jammed. The most common pistols carried by soldiers were small German-made pistols, well suited for concealed carry. They could be hidden in a greatcoat pocket, in foot wraps, or in a grenade pouch. Red Army soldiers didn't carry such pistols for the sake of collecting. They knew that at night, in the narrow corridor of a ruined building, or in a trench where a clash occurs at point-blank range, a short pistol could be the one chance that could change the outcome of a fight. Pocket pistols were especially popular, as they could be drawn with one hand faster than reloading a rifle. Scouts and assault troops readily used captured compact models, considering them convenient for covert action. But the true symbol of unauthorized weapons on the Red Army side were the short German submachine guns. They offered what was often lacking in close combat: high firepower, one-handed operation, and maneuverability in tight spaces. Soldiers quickly learned to handle these weapons, and ammunition for them was obtained directly in battle, by scavenging trophies, stripping captured magazines, or stripping equipment from defeated enemy groups. Even commanders sometimes turned a blind eye to such violations, understanding that a frontline soldier who had been through hundreds of assaults knew better what he needed in a trench. The situation was reversed in the Wehrmacht. Despite the strictness of their supply system, the Germans found that the battle in the East required a fundamentally different approach. This is why it became common for German soldiers to adopt captured Soviet submachine guns, renowned for their rapid fire, large magazine capacity, and ability to operate in muddy conditions. They were heavier than the more common German models, but soldiers considered them reliable and effective in close combat. The Germans used them precisely as a covert aid, a weapon that could be used in situations where accuracy was not essential, but the ability to deliver a high volume of fire in a matter of seconds against an attacking enemy. German units, especially assault groups and patrols, eagerly used captured weapons. In urban combat, in ruined neighborhoods where the distance between opponents was reduced to just a few meters, Soviet submachine guns became near-perfect tools. Reports include references to German soldiers carrying such weapons as personal close combat weapons, concealed behind their backs or strapped to belt loops. This was less formal for the Wehrmacht than for the Soviet troops, but the command understood perfectly well. On the front lines, it's not the rules that matter, but the results. American soldiers found themselves in unique conditions. Their fronts differed not only in climate, but also in the nature of the fighting. In the Pacific, every battle degenerated into a chain of chaotic clashes. The jungle offered the enemy the opportunity to get up close. At night, Japanese units launched attacks that literally crashed into American positions. In such conditions, short personal weapons became the weapon of choice for a sudden breakthrough. Americans brought pocket revolvers, small semi-automatic pistols, and family heirloom weapons from home, which became a serious backup. On the islands, where barrel length determined convenience, small weapons became the norm. Moreover, enemy trophies held special significance. The Americans took knives, hidden blades, homemade close combat tools, and even rare weapons distinguished by their unique design. Some soldiers carried such items not for practical reasons, but for psychological support, a feeling of having a second chance at the last second. But others used captured pistols, especially if they were suitable for concealed carry or had a soft trigger, comfortable grip, and quick access. Unauthorized weapons served many functions. They gave soldiers a sense of control in situations where control was virtually non-existent. They provided support during unexpected encounters. They were created not by industry, but by the chaos of the front, where even the most disciplined army develops its own rules of survival. And these rules turned out to be surprisingly similar across all three armies. The Soviet soldier, the German infantryman, and the American private were all looking for the same thing: a compact, fast, reliable, and easily understood tool that could be pulled from under a greatcoat or vest in a split second. Most often, these were short pistols, small revolvers, pocket-sized submachine guns, captured specimens found in rubble, knives and blades passed from hand to hand. Surprisingly, in the depths of the trenches, ideology ceased to matter. Soldiers used what saved lives, wielding the enemy's weapons with the same confidence as their own. As a result, the war generated a vast hidden store of weaponry, unrecorded in any documents but preserved in memoirs, photographs, and rare newsreels. Personal weapons were hidden, but they were everywhere in pockets, belts, and dry bags. And they became the third unspoken line of defense, the line of personal defense. Unauthorized weapons are more than just a side effect of war. They're a unique phenomenon that allows us to see war from the inside through the eyes of someone caught between life and death. Unlike standard rifles, pistols, and machine guns, captured and personal weapons weren't regulated, didn't pass through warehouses or inventory lists. They came into the hands of soldiers only through their own choice, and this choice reveals much about what real war was like. The Soviet soldier strove to have another means of defense because he knew that combat could suddenly descend into hand-to-hand combat. The German infantrymen understood that on the Eastern Front, distances were reduced to a few steps, and additional options were valuable. The American Marine saw how the enemy chose the moment of darkness to attack point blank, and he took what gave him confidence at the critical moment. All three armies fought different wars. They had different doctrines, different traditions, different equipment, but when it came to survival, they were remarkably similar. A soldier in any army strove to carry an extra weapon, small, hidden, personal, a weapon not intended for parades and reports, a weapon that existed for only one thing, that at some crucial moment, life depended on it. Every war gives birth to its official history dates, operations, victories. But there's another story, the story of what soldiers carried in their pockets, tucked behind their belts, and held close to their hearts. These weapons, small, unspoken, unauthorized, were part of their inner world. Part of what drove them forward amid chaos, fear, and darkness. Part of what helped them survive. And ultimately, it is this weapon hidden, personal, that reminds us. Wars are won not by armies, but by people. Their choices, their fears, their small decisions made in the shadow of great events. And among these decisions lies the most human of all, the desire for a chance, even if that chance fits in a small holster under a greatcoat.